Let's hear your name again just to be on the safe side.
My name is Cory, C-O-R-Y, last name Runge, R-U-N-G-E, and I'm a sergeant with Flagstaff Police Dept.
Okay, with that said, bring us up to speed, if you could, on where we are today.
Well, we've been investigating the disappearance of Cathryn Gorospe for approximately 2 weeks now. And some of the latest developments in this case were some investigative work done by our detectives division, in which they conducted an interview with the suspect in reference to this case. It has been reclassified as a homicide, but during that interview they learned some details such as the location of a deceased person. They went and confirmed that there was a deceased person at that location who met the description of Cathryn Gorospe. At this time, we're pending DNA testing to verify with 100% certainty that it is in fact Cathryn Gorospe, but we're very certain that it will come out to be Cathryn. This was in Mare, Arizona, or just outside on Nugget Mine Road, was that location. We are still trying to find the scene of the crime. It appears to be, that was a disposal site for her. So we are still actively continuing this investigation. We're still actively conducting interviews and talking to witnesses in reference to this case, and we can provide many other details as they become available.
I know we have to wait for coroner autopsy and all that, but the original report from the police report was that an acquaintance said when he was in the car with her the Saturday after her disappearance, there was blood in the car. Is that believed to be hers, and how did that happen?
We are pending DNA examination on that and some laboratory analysis, but at this time it is believed to be her blood.
And without the autopsy, is there any way to know, was she stabbed, was she shot, how did that occur?
Some of those details we do know. They're pending further before release. We don't want to damage the case or the investigation or any witness statements that may come as a result of this. So those details are being withheld. Although there was a violent method used to murder Cathryn.
What is the timeline right now? As of, we know that she left here late Friday night on October 6th. He turns up doing multiple crimes on Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. What was the last time, or the last day that we think that she was alive?
Friday.
So that same night?
So the same night that she disappeared, we believe she was killed almost within hours.
Has Malzahn said any reason this is the person that has literally helped him out, bailed him out of jail? Why did he suddenly snap on her?
We don't have, he has not made any statements on motive or anything that, although he did provide some statements that lead us to believe that he is the primary suspect in this case.
Has he, obviously he's been somewhat cooperative to tell you the location of where the body was recovered. Can you describe that area? What was special about this particular location for him to go there?
I believe that it was in his path. He felt it was a rural area, and it was a place. I do not believe he knew the area very well, and he may have been. He may not have known how closely he was leaving her to an actually populated area. So there's some questions that we're trying to get answered in reference to that. It's unknown his reasons at this time on why he made the decisions he made.
There had been some discussion about the type of vegetation that was found on her car that indicated that maybe he had been in a certain location, because that vegetation is only found in like 2 parts of Arizona. Was this that same location?
No. So she was disposed of in Mare, Arizona, and some vegetation leads us to believe that that she was murdered in a separate location. And at this time, we're trying to find the actual scene where that occurred.
Can you describe at all his mental state? We've got the previous police reports of when he was originally arrested back on August 20th, when he carjacked his own sister. This past weekend, he assaulted an ASU student, assaulted a police officer, carjacked another woman. What is his state of mind?
Detectives had a conversation with him that was rational. It was reasonable. There's no, I didn't see any information that would indicate to me that he may have some kind of illness or disability to not understand what was happening. He seemed to be in positive spirits at the time that our staff was speaking to him.
So would you say that this is a guy who at this time looks like he knew everything that he did and when he did it?
Yes.
When they left here Friday night, was anyone able to tell, from the front desk or bailing him out, if there was already some sort of altercation, or was it a happy reunion?
It appeared to be a positive reunion, although there was not a lot of other people that were able to witness this reunion. When he was released from jail, Cathryn was not immediately standing there in there. Their reunion happened in the parking lot in her car, and that was after he had had a chance to speak with the pretrial services on his release conditions. So he spoke to the bondsman prior to speaking to Cathryn, and no other witnesses were in the car during the reunion.
After that, he goes on this multi-city crime spree throughout the state. This acquaintance says that he gets in the car and he sees blood inside the car, a cut on his thumb. Did he give any other details? Did he explain or ask Malzahn, so, dude, what's up going on in the car here?
I don't have any information indicating on what his thoughts were at that moment in time. The acquaintance was riding around, was concerned. It's kind of hard to say what he was feeling, although it's pretty likely that he was feeling fear and trying to find a way out of a difficult situation.
Inside the city of Williams, we were there last week when his family did some searching throughout the wooded areas. They believed that they had left here and gone to Williams. When they left here on October 6th, did they ever go to Williams? Both
Yes.
of them? So
Yes, Williams is in direct path on the pathways that we released on the original night when we were trying to follow the path through his path through Arizona, and Williams was in that path along with many other cities.
And I know he has some family in Williams. Could you explain who lives there and why you would go to Williams?
He is from Williams. He graduated high school in Williams, and he does have his immediate family members that are located there. And that is where his listed address of residence is at.
So is it possible that after being in jail for a month and some change that she picks him up here, they go say hi to mom and pop or whoever in Williams? Did anyone in Williams see Cathryn alive? Any family members?
It's unknown if any family members saw her. Any of his family members, it's unlikely that they would have seen her, although there is a likelihood that other residents in Williams could have seen her.
Are you aware of any stops that they made in Williams? Did they stop and get food or?
We are aware of some stops. We've looked at some gas stations in the area. We've also become aware of one or two other stops that were made along the way, and other people had seen Cathryn after his release from jail.
So some folks in Williams have said that they saw Cathryn alive that night.
Yes.
Is any of that on security camera footage or any pictures of that?
I haven't seen that. Some of that security camera footage from Circle K's and gas stations and those types of things are being reviewed by our investigators to verify whether they can locate her on any kind of video surveillance system.
What was Cathryn's exact age?
She's 44 years of age.
She was 44. What was the extent of their relationship? I know it had been talk of they either were or at some point in the past were in a relationship.
There's been a lot of speculation in reference to this, and I'd have to say I can't 100% identify what the nature of their relationship was. In many ways it appeared that it could have been romantic, and in other ways it could have been a friendship. Human relationships can be very complicated, and it's kind of hard to narrow it down into a specific definition of what's a friendship and what's a romantic relationship.
How long had they known each other, do you know?
They had met each other from all inquiries this past summer. The latest time frame I've heard is July, in which they've been seen many times together, hanging out in and around Williams throughout the bar scene in that area.
So this past summer they would have just met?
Yes.
Did he at all work at the Grand Canyon Railroad? That's where she spent her time away in the summer from teaching. Did he work there as well?
I don't believe that they worked at the same location. The Grand Canyon Railroad is a big place, so it's my understanding is that his occupation was as a waiter or working in the restaurant business.
Okay. On that location where her remains were recovered, is that, you said that's private property in the press release, so is there a home nearby, or is this just a completely rural lot?
It's a pretty rural area in Mare. There are some residences nearby. I don't know exactly which property lines contain which residential structure, but there's a lot of large land areas that are property and vacant lots and owned in that general area.
What was his occupation in Mare? He had a residence there. He graduated high school there. Did he work in, not Mare, excuse me, Williams?
He worked in Williams, and he worked at a local restaurant. I don't have the name off the top of my head.
Okay.
On that. That is just a detail I read.
What have interviews, what have people described him as a person?
Well, like all people, they're complicated, and we get various descriptions from various people depending on what their relationship was. So to narrow it down into one specific description is almost an impossible task.
Was I just lost my train of thought. Now they're asking questions back there as well. Inside the city of Williams, he is the stepson of the police chief. Is that correct?
That's my understanding.
Okay. And so he would have been in a small town like that. A lot of people would know. They know Charlie.
Yes.
Okay. Her body was found in a rural area. Can you elaborate on at all how she was recovered? Was she buried, or?
She was not buried. Some indications in reports had stated that she had been buried, although when detectives found her, she had not been buried. She was laying on top of the ground, not in plain view from the roadway, but near a roadway.
So it sounds like he just dumped her and left?
That is what it appears to be.
And so what day was her body recovered?
It was last Friday.
Okay. Last Friday. So the same night?
No.
No. I'm sorry. This is a
one
week
week
later.
One week later. The same day that our detectives spoke and retrieved those facts is the same day we recovered her.
Okay. So you traveled up to that area. Did he give you a cross street at all and say this is about where you would find her?
He provided descriptions on how he had traveled.
And any idea if she was alive here, she was alive in Williams, but she was found dead in Mare, any idea where the murder happened?
We've got some ideas, and those are currently under investigations as we're trying to validate and verify those facts, and those are some of the other details that are being withheld until we can confirm them and verify that the case won't be harmed by the release of that information.
Do you think he went from Williams and up in Prescott into Mare, or did he come back through Flagstaff, or do you know? Or?
Indications state that he went through Williams and down through Prescott Valley through that direction. He later entered onto I-17 and headed down to the Phoenix metropolitan area.
I know charges are still being, that has come from the prosecutor or county attorney, but at this time, he is the one and only suspect in her death. Is that correct?
Correct. He is the one and only suspect. We are actively investigating the case. Our detectives are working closely with the Coconino County Attorney's Office to determine many things such as jurisdiction and which crimes had occurred, and trying to narrow down more specific charges that may be applicable.
Is there any indication if she was killed inside the car in the front seat where the acquaintance said he was sitting and saw blood, or was it outside the car and he put her in the car then dumped her?
Those are some specific details that we're kind of we'd be speculating right now, and we're trying to verify the authenticity of where the crime occurred, how it occurred, and find the location of the crime scene.
When you found her, was she bound or tied up at all, or clothes missing? Obviously, she had some severe trauma. You said she had severe injuries.
She had severe injuries. There's no indication that she had been bound or tied up in any way.
So at this point, this Malzahn's got a list of charges from obviously Maricopa, now Coconino. Will there be new charges at all from the county of Mayor? Was it Yavapai?
Yavapai County?
Yavapai. Will there be? How will that all play out?
Some of that's going to depend on where the crime scene and the jurisdiction where the crime occurred at. At this time, Flagstaff Police Department is maintaining the lead investigator in this case, and it is believed that the crime scene will be found in Coconino County. We will maintain the lead of the case. Although Yavapai County has been instrumental in assistance and providing resources in the area of Mayor to help us follow up in reference to this case.
What kind of charges could he likely see coming out of this?
He could see homicide charges out of this. He could see it could possibly be kidnapping. It could be many other charges. It's just hard to narrow it down. There's other jurisdictions that have active criminal investigations in which he has been charged or are pending charging in relation to other crimes that were committed along his path.
This comes from another county. Do you have any other indication on the assault at ASU that he was involved in, or the carjacking in Tempe? Did he give you any information about why he did that or what happened on that Sunday night?
I don't have those details, and that's something you'd have to consult those agencies who are conducting that investigation for.
Okay. How much longer until the autopsy is able to provide details on exactly what happened?
I don't have an exact date on when the medical examiner's report will be complete. Much of this is depending on the examination and the scientific process that's gone through, and verifications that have to be made to ensure that the information obtained is accurate.
In your press release, you said it is all but DNA confirmed, literally, that this would be the body base of Cathryn Gorospe based on several things. Can you name a few of those?
Yeah, some of the things that we believe that identify her as Cathryn are, one, that the primary suspect in her disappearance provided descriptions to a location where a deceased person was found. That the deceased person that was found meets the physical descriptions of Cathryn Gorospe and is wearing clothing that represents the clothing she was seen when she had come to pick him up from jail.
Is it safe to say that then the mystery is over at this point?
We feel confident that DNA testing is going to confirm that this is, in fact, Cathryn Gorospe.
Going forward from here, obviously this is a multi-county agency deal involved. What is it that you guys have to do behind the scenes to get this guy in front of a judge?
Well, many of the things are, one, collaborating with our local county attorney's office. Two is verifying jurisdiction on and locating the crime scene. Those are two of the main points. Once that is verified where the crime scene actually occurred, we'll be able to verify jurisdiction. Flagstaff Police Department has been the primary investigating agency, and there is a likelihood that we could retain that position due to the fact of where the information is located, and he could be charged here. In addition, he hit many other jurisdictions as he was driving through their areas and committed other crimes, and those other crimes will be prosecuted in the locations where they occurred.
The roommate of Cathryn Gorospe's called 911 on Sunday night to say that she hadn't seen Cathryn, and this was unlike her to be gone this long. From there had also been a report that Cathryn's credit cards had been used by Malzahn in another county. Can you explain that part at all? Because obviously Sunday was the first day we had an alert that Cathryn was missing, but the credit cards were used Saturday and police came. Do you know anything about that? What caused police to come to the mall?
Yes, the police were called to the mall because Malzahn was using Cathryn's credit cards in that area. It was suspicious to the people who were receiving these credit cards. They made a report to police. Police responded to investigate, and he had made a statement that he had permission to use her cards. Although there was no specific information, no probable cause to establish that he was fraudulently using them at that time, we do have that information now. This had occurred in the Tucson area, specifically which agency, whether it was the sheriff's office or the police agency or the college police, I'm unaware of.
So on that particular day, a police officer or the merchant at the mall could only, probably would only describe this as a stolen credit card, a petty theft, and that's all you would have thought of it at that time.
It would have been a suspicion of fraudulent use of a credit card, although there didn't appear to be the evidence or the facts at that moment in time to corroborate it to establish probable cause.
And so I know officers came and they confiscated her cards and the merchandise. Being that the acquaintance said there was blood inside the car, would I be correct that the officers met him inside the store and not in the car?
I don't have the information to corroborate or deny that.
Okay. How helpful was the roommate's call to 911?
The roommate's call, her roommate calling and reporting her missing was instrumental. Although she had just a suspicion that her roommate, she knew her roommate very well. She knew her normal behaviors and activities, and when people act out of character, that is a cause for suspicion. So she did the right thing on calling police immediately. Our investigators, our patrol officers responded. They took it very seriously, and they initiated a missing persons investigation immediately. Due to those details, the information was passed out very quickly across the state to our partner agencies, and her vehicle and he was located within hours of the release of her being identified as a missing person.
Had Cathryn made any phone calls or anything that Friday night to say that she was in distress or that her and Malzahn had got into an argument, anything suspicious on Friday?
I'm unaware of her making any telephone calls to report any kind of thing like that.
And you said the people in Williams, there have been several people who had said that they saw her that night. Were they forthcoming with that information, or was that information that you stumbled upon and asked, or were they helpful?
Well, although I don't know how many people exactly saw, I don't know if it was several or one or three. People did report that they had seen Cathryn, and I'm trying to verify exactly how that information came in. I don't have all the details on who reported, whether they self-reported or whether investigators found them and asked about that.
Okay. And I know this kind of get into the weeds of the coroner, but at this time, are you able to say any indication on if her trauma was from a gun or a knife or a bat or anything?
That's one of the details that's being withheld until we can corroborate some of the information that we're receiving, and those details will be released as soon as we're able to.
Okay. Can you say at all what part of her body had trauma?
No, I can just say that it was a very, it was trauma and it was lethal.
If he wouldn't have told you where she was at, could you guys still be looking for her? You guys would still be looking for her?
There's a high likelihood that we would still be looking for her, although it's difficult to tell in the state of Arizona, where we have large land masses, exactly when a person will be located or found. Again, this was on private property. There's other opportunities where the private property owner may have located, or a passerby on the road may have located, or I mean, much of the information we receive, we depend on the public to provide that information, and in this case, it just so happened that he provided that information.
And you mentioned in where she was dumped, it was a private area, she was not buried, but she was obstructed by something. So can you say what that something was, and if someone was driving by, would they have seen her?
I'm certain that several people had driven by and did not see her. As the exact shrubbery and vegetation or other obstructions, whether that's a wall, I'm unaware of because I haven't been there.
Any particular connection to Mayor, or was that just a rollway out the back of Williams?
I have no information indicating that he had a specific connection to Mayor, other than that was the pathway he was driving along.
Other than just the time it takes for you guys to come together, because this is a multi-county investigation at this point, is that the only reason we're waiting for charges to be announced?
Charges, and we are still actively investigating this. The fact is, we are looking for a crime scene where this murder had occurred, and until we find that scene, we don't have all the facts or details. So this is some of the information that's being taken into account, and again, we are in close communication with our Coconino County Attorney's Office, and when they're making a coordinated effort, when they feel that they have enough information to allege a charge, I'm sure that charge will be following.
And then I assume at that time, it'll be decided what county he is sent back to, whether it's Coconino, or is this this is your investigation, so would he be sent back here from Maricopa?
There is a good chance he would be sent to Coconino County for this, although there's other jurisdictions that may also have crimes that he committed, and he may pass through those jurisdictions also.
I don't know. Seems I think we got it all, but I'll ask you one last question. How did you come in contact with this acquaintance that he was running around with to buy these guns and drugs? What was their relationship, and how did you all get in contact with them rather quickly?
Well, that's one of the specific details that we're withholding. We're trying to protect the integrity of the investigation. We're trying to protect the safety of all parties involved in the case, and release of certain information could contaminate the investigation, the prosecution, or the safety of individuals involved in the case.
Okay. With that, sir, I think we are done.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.